What is up, Serie A and Stoppage Time fans? This is another special edition of Stoppage Time with a very special guest. We have Lex from All Juve Cast. How you doing, Lex?
Hey everyone, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show, Cliff.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure having you on. Obviously, we're going to be hitting so many points on this episode. But first, before we get to that, let's get to the business side. We are sponsored by All Juve Cast, our amazing team, as well as Straight Tarts Apparel, some of the best apparel you can get in Calcio. So, on that note, Lex, let's go to the game that happened last week. Let's not. I don't want to talk about it, but I think we have to address it at least briefly. The North Macedonia against Italy match. What were your initial thoughts on that one?
Probably disbelief because I could not believe that this happened again. I felt like I was having some deja vu as well from the Sweden game. And so I just can't believe that in such a short span of time we experienced that. And also to go from such a high in the summer, being European champions, to then in just a short amount of time later, not even qualifying for the World Cup. So I guess I would say, yeah, disbelief.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think a point that I want to share with people is that, there is something you can't take away from the Azzurri is that they did win the Euros. They have the trophy in the case. People want to say, oh, they didn't make it. But you know what? At least we have some sort of hardware. Nobody can take away that we're the champions of Europe.
Oh, I agree. I said that I would take winning the Euro Cup in 2020, well, 2021, but the 2021
Yeah.
and the 2006 World Cup. I would take that in exchange for not qualifying for 2 World Cups any day. Any day. No participation medal for me. I'd rather take home the trophy and rather than just qualify to say you'd qualified.
There you go. Lex knows ball. That's all I can say on that. And then the next piece of news regarding this is actually for the Azzurri is that Roberto Mancini, is going to stay on as the manager, at least for the time being. He had his quote-unquote set squad for the future, which included Bonucci. Quick thoughts on that. Do you think Bonucci should be continued with in the plans for obviously not for the long term, but even for the next 2 years? Should he be in the plans?
I think they should try and start moving forward from those players. I think that it's time to move on with the younger guys. We have what Bono? I'm sorry, we have Mancini and Bastoni now
And
in the back.
Romagnoli.
Romagnoli. I think it's time to move on with the younger players. I think that players that have been around now for this lack of qualification, the second time around, I think it's time to give the younger players a chance in the squad. What do you think,
Yeah,
Cliff?
I agree. I think it's time for a clean slate. I think it's time for a fresh look. We didn't make the change from our aging players in the last World Cup qualifying, and we didn't do that to a certain extent this time around. Like we had players like Ciro Immobile, who he's never been performing on the Azzurri level, as well as Jorginho had a really bad game. I guess you can't really say him because he had been doing well up until this point. But Cheeto is a great example. Insigne has had a little bit of a drop off this season. Who else? And then obviously Bonucci's aging. Like you need to at some point you need to clear out the old guard, and bring in the new players such as Scamacca, Raspadori, and players of this level, Locatelli. You need to bring these players in and allow them to get their experience. And if they don't go out now, it's a learning experience at least. You could take it that way, and they learn from this experience, and it gives them the fire in their heart to want to make it even more next time for themselves, for the fans, for their whole country. So that's what I think on it. Yeah, plain and simple. But I did want to get into some issues with Italy as a whole. As we know, it was somewhere. I think I read it online. I was doing research on player age, and Italy had like the worst of the top 5 leagues in terms of youngest average player in the league. I think theirs was like 27 point something compared to Prem, which was like in the 25 range or 24 range. So there is definitely a gap in terms of how many younger players are playing in, say, the quote-unquote top league compared to Serie A. So what do you think on that, Lex?
No, I agree. I mean, that those stats don't surprise me just as someone who watches the league and watches Juve especially. And I think that that is a problem and it does make a difference in terms of being able to develop your youth players and giving them that opportunity to play. I mean, Just as an example, look at Pedri over in Spain, right? Now he has the number 10 on Spain, and he's, I believe, 19 years old. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure that's how old he is.
You're right. He is.
And so he has that opportunity and he's taken it, and he had that opportunity at Barcelona. And now he's taken his expertise and his experience to the Spanish national team. And they gave him that chance. And I know that there's always this debate between, are our youth players good enough versus they need the opportunity. And I feel like it's always a little bit of both. And I think that I'm probably lean more towards the side that believes if you're not giving them the opportunity, then how will you ever know what the potential they have is? Right. So I think that it's just so important. And I think that integrating more youth players at the national team level is, like you said, it plays a huge role that these young players are getting appearances and getting minutes in Serie A. And I'm not just talking minutes like our coach likes to do, which you sub them in the 90th minute and give them a 2 minute
Yeah,
shift.
like Miretti against Salernitana.
Let's give them real opportunities, right? And so I think that is so important. I think especially I think Serie A clubs focusing on developing their youth teams and their youth academies is also super important. And I know that that's also been an argument that the youth academies weren't very strong. But I think that Juve, especially, as we've all talked about with Cherubini in the last few years, the last 4 years, I believe, since he took on that project, has really developed a solid academy of youth players. And we've made it pretty far in the Youth Champions League, right? After we had that win against Liverpool. And so,
Mhm.
there is talent there now. It's more so just tapping into that talent and making use of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And every time I hear somebody say Cherubini, I just think of Beppe when he says Cherubini, Cherubini, Cherubini.
First thing that came to mind.
I love it. But yeah, 100%. And you'll hear people saying, oh, yeah, Rovella playing for Genoa. Yes, but is he really getting like significant minutes on a quality side? It's still minutes in the league, but you see players on like Bayern Munich getting starts at 17, 18 years old. Players on, Phil Foden, for example, in the Prem, getting like minutes at 19 on Manchester City, one of the biggest clubs in the world, at least in terms of, dollar sign value. So what's stopping Juventus from giving younger players a chance? Like Chiesa is playing as a right winger, but that's because they spent so much money on him. They kind of needed to justify it. And Vlahovic is obviously a great talent. So those are good signs that you're seeing those guys get into the first team. But how about players who are kind of continuously getting loaned out, like Fagioli is playing in Serie B. He could easily start on a Serie A side. And then Rovella can easily start on a loan on another Serie A team, not Genoa. He could probably start on a mid-table side.
Fajoli, if I'm not mistaken, also mentioned in an interview recently, he made a comment about that, about how if he was playing in the Spanish, English, or in even German league, that he felt that he would have been getting minutes in the first team.
100%. I read the comments in that interview, and it was just it really told a lot about the story of how these players actually feel. It's one thing for us on the outside to actually say it, but them on the inside of it saying this, it shows that it's not just what we're perceiving. It's actually what the players are living with every single day. And 100%, I think you see Fagioli should be starting in a better side. And if he was in another league, he probably would be. And he'd probably be making more money too, to be honest. So that's another thing. And then going to money. Let's talk a little bit about the discrepancy in terms of money. So let me give you the top six for Italy right now in terms of current value. Juventus, which is 555.6 million. These are estimated on transfer market, so they might not be completely accurate, but they're probably about there. Inter Milan, 528.9 million. Napoli, 493.85 million. AC Milan, 480.1 million. Atalanta, 384.9 million. And then Roma, 369.35 million. Seems like a good amount, right? Seems like good figures. But then you look at Prem, which, like I said again, is quote unquote the top league in the world. Manchester City, 977.3 million, almost $1 billion in value. Liverpool, 889 million. Chelsea, 883 million. And actually, an even better point is that's actually in pounds. So if you round that up, that's going to be even higher. And obviously the same for euros as well, if we're talking about like pure US dollar amount. Manchester United, 790.25 mil. Tottenham Hotspurs, 6.25 mil, and Leicester City 513.8 million. So a lot higher than what our top six is in Serie A. So there's a huge discrepancy there. And if you're looking at the history books of UCL and titles, those teams don't compare to the likes of Milan, Inter, Juventus, Roma. You know, all those teams, Napoli, those teams have a lot more history of winning in Europe than looking at, probably with the exception of maybe Liverpool and Manchester United. Those are the only teams that really stick out who have a ton of history in terms of winning titles. So it just doesn't seem to add up to me. Lex, what do you think? What do you think about those numbers? What sticks out to you?
Well, I think there's no secret that the revenue that and the backing, financial backing that like the Premier League teams have compared to the Serie A teams, and I think a lot of fans are aware of that. I think that money doesn't necessarily buy you trophies, but it definitely helps, and that's kind of
Mhm.
usually the line that I try to stick by. It helps in terms, especially just of squad depth, of being able to attract those players, those names, and being able to attract enough of them and have enough of them sitting on your team, getting those salaries that are keeping them happy, and then being able to build like that, basically a super squad, as we've seen happen at clubs like Manchester City, for example. And it's just that is a difference. That makes a difference in comparison to the teams in Serie A.
But a great example of what you said is City and PSG have both spent a boatload of money and they have no UCL titles to show for it. So it just goes to show that you're absolutely right, and I stand by that. That money doesn't buy you titles, 100%. And you mentioned the money, and I need to go to the TV deals because that's really where you see a huge staggering difference. And these figures that I got for at least for City on Prem are from Sports Illustrated. I always want to cite my sources. I don't want to plagiarize. So for City in the U.S., their TV deal is 75 million per year over 3 seasons, with a total of 225 million US dollars. The Premier League US TV deal, reportedly over 2.7 billion dollars. That's a B compared to an M over 6 years, with roughly 450 million dollars per year. That is exactly twice as much as what we paid, at least in the US, for the Serie A rights. That's a staggering number. Initially, what do you think of when you see that?
I think of the fact that it makes sense that from what we see that's the type of deals, because there is a lack of availability to watch Serie A over here in North America. So I would say that getting more exposure for the league, getting more viewership, and getting that brings in more revenue all goes towards supporting your club and your league.
Yeah, 100%. And then two more kind of figures I wanted to share with everybody. Serie A, the deal with DAZN, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is mostly Canada, and then in other places around the world. That was a 2.5 billion euro deal. And then for the Prem, in England slash Europe, the TV deal was 4.9 billion pounds with an extra £100 extra trickle down bonus, which would help build vulnerable communities due to COVID-19. At least that's what in the Guardian, that's what they reported. That's a ton of money, almost £5 billion. That is incredible figures for a league that, in my opinion, it's not like it's a far superior league to Serie A. You and I both know this. It's very fast paced. People like fast paced football. A lot of people enjoy it. It's very fast. It's very physical. But in my opinion, it lacks tactical awareness. It lacks tactical in terms of, Italy is a great example of slowly and methodically building up, which I can appreciate because I grew up with and you as well. But I don't think because Prem is faster, it necessarily means it's better. But the figures say differently, and I think they also have the advantage of being a mainly English-speaking country.
Just going to
So,
say, I think the
so that is
English
a
language
yeah,
plays
that's
a
a
huge role, and the fact that they attract some of the bigger mainstream names and
yeah,
players to their clubs, that also plays a big factor in it. Yeah, being Italian, that's we are going to support Serie A and hold that dear, but it is also, I think, the TV deals that they have where it's so accessible. Like, I can turn on my TV in the morning and I can find Premier League. I would never find Serie A on the TV. Like, and that just plays a huge role. And I know that I even go into this discussion regarding women's football as well. It's just exposure for your product and for your league is massive,
Yeah.
massive for growing your league and growing your game that you have, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And as you guys know, Lex does an amazing job with the Juventus women's videos. So you guys definitely have to check her out in supporting the women's game. I actually used to work for a national women's hockey league team here in the States, and I just saw how much of a how much of a distance there was in terms of the men hockey leagues and the women's. And I think there should be so much more awareness because when watching the leagues, there's a lot of quality in these women's leagues. There were some of these women playing hockey were like ferociously good. They were so good, and I was just in awe. So the fact that they're not getting really the TV time that they deserve was a shame to me, and I think that goes for all women's sports.
And it's, the chicken or the egg argument. I like to call it when people say like there's a lack of viewership, so it's not on TV because no one watches it. But then also no one watches it because it's not on TV.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a little bit of a paradox. And that's why DAZN and YouTube have signed that incredible deal with Women's Champions League, where all their games are accessible on their YouTube channel for the next 5 years, which I think is just incredible because that is the way to grow your sport, right? That's the way to grow your product.
100%. And you got me watching the UCL game with Juventus against Lyon. It was actually a phenomenal match. And what a win for Juventus. What a comeback win. Was it 3-1 at the end?
And no, it was 2-1. But it was still an incredible win. They took all 3 points, which is just amazing. Goals by Girelli and Bonfantini. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one. The second leg is, I believe, this Wednesday. They're going to France to play. So,
yes, that will be so incredible to watch. And obviously, as I said, guys, you'll get all the recaps from Lex. She'll be doing a great job handling all those. And hopefully, maybe some watch-alongs in the future. Who knows? Who knows?
I hope so. That would be exciting. We'll have to see, or maybe some post-match pods or something like that.
Oh, I'd be so down for that. I just love whether it's women or men's, I love to kind of break down the match in terms of tactics, seeing how people make their runs, seeing how people are just doing the little things off the ball that really make a difference in the match. Yeah, and just a lot of so the only difference between the women's game I've noticed, it's a little bit slower, but the technical ability in terms of the passing and the shots are just like they're there. They're just as much with the men's team. So when people are saying, "Oh, it lacks quality," it doesn't lack quality. There's definitely quality there. You could see it in the build-up. It's really good to watch. But I'm just rambling at this point.
Yeah, we went a little off topic with that, but I always love propping the UA women's team. So thanks, Cliff, for that.
Yeah, 100%. We have to bring awareness to the women's team because they're doing phenomenal too. You have to show love to them because they're doing better than the men's team. So you have to show them some love. They could probably beat the men's team pretty easily in a match right now, the way they're playing. So without further ado, let's get a little bit into this weekend match preview. First, we have Lazio Sassuolo. Lex, when you look at this match on paper, is this like is this an easy win for Lazio, or is this going to be an upset for Sassuolo? Because on paper, it looks like Lazio would win it, but for me, I think Sassuolo is going to surprise them.
I think Sassuolo will definitely surprise them. I have to see. I know Scamacca was out injured all of that on that game. I know a lot of people actually didn't know he was injured because I saw a bunch of people questioning why Mancini didn't put him in, and I was like, the guy was hurt. I mean, it was kind of under the radar. I guess it was a little bit last minute, but I think if he's back and they have that trio and the Sassuolo boys, so you got like Raspadori, Scamacca, as well as Fratesi. So
Berardi. How can you forget Berardi?
I know. You're right.
No, we don't want to talk about him, though.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a little bit annoyed at him right now. But I think they'll definitely give them a run for their money, for sure. They're an exciting group to watch. And
yeah, for me, this is a must-win for Lazio. If they don't win this match, I think they're out of the top 7 contention. I don't think they make it.
Yeah, it'll definitely be that'll definitely make things harder. I think that me and you are both hoping that Fiorentina makes the top 6 and goes to Europe this season. So that might work in our favor. But
Yeah, 100%. And now there was actually something that I forgot to mention earlier, which you reminded me when you talked about Berardi, how much we're really mad at him. Mancini for the national team is actually going to be staying in on the national team right now, so that's big news. What are your thoughts on that? Are you happy that he's staying, or do you think that the Azzurri should move away from him? And obviously, we thank him for his work, or do you think we should stick with him and try to make it to the Euros and make it to the next World Cup with him?
yeah, so I guess before we go into the Serie A games, yeah, we'll touch on that news a little bit first and kind of where the Azzurri's team's going to be at. I've stayed consistent with keeping Mancini. I think that's the right decision. I mean, for a couple reasons. I think for the first reason, I don't think any of the options that were suggested to replace him were necessarily enticing.
No.
So, I mean, there was a couple names thrown around. I saw Azzurri thrown around. I don't see it. I don't see that. I think they were even talking about bringing. There's some shouts I had seen about bringing back Lippi. I was like, that is quite the stretch, but
Yeah.
no, we're not gonna go there. But I think that yeah, who knows, right? But I mean, definitely, I'm all for keeping Mancini. I think that he was the European champion. He's a coach we were with. I think that he was dealt a very tough hand going into these qualifiers with Spinazzola and Chiesa being out. I mean, if you even look at the players that weren't at the game, that were injured, that scored for us in the Euros, like Chiesa, Locatelli, Bonucci, Pessina, even they all weren't there at that game, and they all scored important goals for us
And
in the Euros.
Spinazzola.
Spinazzola, I mean, you can arguably say that our team's play has dropped significantly since that injury, even during the Euros. But
There's no argument there. Absolutely.
Right? And so I just think for me, I think that Mancini, his Achilles heel, his downfall was how trusting he is of his players, which is great when you're a player playing under a coach who trusts you. And he trusted a lot of those guys from that Euro squad, even the ones that maybe weren't in their best form.
Immobile.
Immobile. I would even say Barella.
Yeah,
Right?
Barella was a little bit off.
So, and has been for a little while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough because I think that that's where people's frustration was lying, was the fact that he didn't do much to change the squad or change up the system. But I still think that he had a lot of significant players out, like especially this last game, right? We had even Locatelli out on COVID. Scamacca was hurt, so couldn't even put him in for Immobile. He had Chiesa out, Spinazzola out. I think that even players, he did put some of those guys on. He did sub on Pellegrini. He did sub on Azzurri, which, like, arguably, as you mentioned, could have been subbed on too late, probably.
But definitely, not probably, Lex.
But I still think he was dealt a pretty tough hand. And I mean, the whole striker situation, we complain about Immobile, but with Scamacca hurt, who else are you putting on for him?
Belotti, right? He's the best striker we have, right? Belotti.
Who else are you playing, right? And or realistically, and
well, João Pedro, there were a lot of shouts that he should have been starting from the beginning. I don't know about that, but I think he should have been subbed on significantly earlier.
I think it's a problem when your nation's strikers that
He's
are
not
available
Italian.
play for mid-table Serie A teams or Cagliari.
He's not even Italian. He's Brazilian.
Right. So, I mean, I think that is a little bit of a problem, and that kind of says more about the development and of our program as a whole than, in my opinion, lying just on Mancini. Because realistically, the play was there, the chances were there.
Yes.
We just didn't score them.
It reminded me of Juventus because they couldn't finish any chances.
And we also created a lot more chances than Juve does.
This is also true.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of why that's my piece about why I'm Mancini in. To say.
Yeah, I agree. There were even shouts to, there were rumors that Fabio Cannavaro was going to be coming in with Lippi as his technical director. There were rumors of that. And I don't think
they were sorry. That's what I heard about bringing back Lippi, not as the coach.
No, I think he's a little bit past his prime to coach.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to say. I just heard his name in the mix about like bringing him back in some aspect.
Exactly. And I don't think Cannavaro and Lippi is that far out in the future. I think it's a possibility. How old is Lippi now? Is he in his late 70s?
Probably. He may even be in his 80s. I'm going
That's
to
okay. I'll take him back. I'll take him back. So while you're looking that up, I think there is definitely a possibility in the future that Cannavaro becomes a manager of the Azzurri at some point. And if not him, De Rossi potentially, as
Pirlo.
long as when De Rossi gets experience.
Pirlo?
P- let's slow our roll there, Lex. Let's wait till he gets a little bit more experience. This is my
He's
Pirlo kid,
73,
so
by the way.
you know how much I love Pirlo. You know he's like my dad. I love him. He I wish he adopted me. He's the best. I literally as a kid I created my whole play style after him. So you know I love him, but it's too soon to call him the Azzurri coach. He needs more experience, in my
Well,
opinion.
Lippi is 73.
Okay, so it's not out of the question that in maybe between 3 to 5 seasons, that maybe after Italy make another hopefully good run in the Euros, that Cannavaro could step in, or if Pirlo gets more experience, he steps in. Lippi comes in as a technical director, so it's not very far out of the realm of possibility.
I just think
Um,
Italian football as a whole, and this is to come from teams in Serie A to the national team, need to just keep moving forward, modernizing their game with managers that are positive play managers, right? A more attacking style, like Mancini had them in the Euros playing. It just, I miss watching that Italy team so much. They were so much fun to watch in the Euros. Like it was undeniable. I remember there's fans that not even just Italy fans, but fans of other teams watching the Euros just saying that Italy was by far the most fun to watch. Like, and I think that that is just something that we need to start pursuing, especially in Serie A. We need more coaches like Italiano, and as much as I don't like him, Gasparini, right? You need
that's
coaches that
pretty.
are going to play in that way because that's if we want to find more success in Europe.
You made me so sad when you mentioned the Euros because I missed so much. But then you mentioned Italiano, and I got happy again because I
Our
love
favorite.
Italiano.
We
Yeah,
love him.
he is the bald maestro. That's what he is. Um, but going back to the match previews, I got a little bit out of order with my stuff, but it's
It's
okay.
all good.
It's all good. So Lazio Sassuolo, give me your score prediction for that one.
Lazio Sassuolo. Ooh, I've got some conflicting agendas here. I've got my Raspadori agenda and my Luis Alberto
Luis
agenda.
Alberto.
I mean, maybe let's say I'm gonna say a 3-1 Sassuolo win.
Ooh, let's go with a big win.
Goal for Luis Alberto, and then
I'm
2 goals for Raspadori, 1 goal for Berardi. Because I don't know if Scamacca is
wow.
gonna be back.
Okay. I like it. I like it, Lex. I'm going to go with 3-2 Sassuolo. I'm going to go with a dual number of assists for Luis Alberto. So I'm still hitting your agenda for Alberto, but we got a Sassuolo win. I'm going to go with a Fratesi goal, a Raspadori goal, and a Berardi goal. So
I
that's what
like
I'm
it.
going to go with. Do you like it? You think it's a pretty good pick?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
pretty good.
Nice. Now we'll get to the next game. Napoli-Atalanta. This one,
This is gonna be a good game.
this is going to be so high. This is going to be high
Important game.
powered. This is going to be high powered, but I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be one of those matches that's going to have a lot of shots, but I don't think they're all going to hit the target. I think this ends up with well, I won't tell you my score yet. I want to get your thoughts. What do you think on this one, Lex?
Ooh, I would probably say yeah, I agree. I don't think I'm gonna go with like I was gonna say maybe like a 2-1 or a 1-1. Let's go with a 1-1 draw.
Okay,
Oh no,
good. You didn't.
2-1.
Damn
2-1.
it. I thought you were going to steal it, but then you stole mine.
2-1 Atalanta.
Ooh, let's go with the big upset.
Two
Okay.
goals, 2 goals for Muriel.
Wow. Okay. I'm
One
going to
goal
counter
on
you.
Napoli for oh man, I don't know. We're gonna go Insigne. Yeah, I'll go with him. All right.
Okay. I'll take your scoreline and I'll raise you an Osimhen. I think we're going to get a 2-1 Napoli victory. We're going to get an Osimhen masterclass.
Osimhen brace.
No, I think he's going to get a goal and an assist. And I think
Okay.
Insigne will get the other goal. And I think there will be some really good goals. I think it's 2-1 Napoli. But this is going to be a really high octane match. I'm going to guess for the over-under, I'm going to probably say over 35 shots overall.
Good.
I'm
I'm
going.
not going to touch that. I'm going to agree with you.
I'm not usually a betting man, but I would say the over under. I would go over 35 for sure. And then we get the last one, our beloved Juventus against the dreaded Inter Milan. What do you think for this match? What do you expect to see in this one?
Ooh,
Who's our front three? That's the question.
oh, that's a good question.
I'll give you the front three.
Okay.
It's going to be damn it. I was gonna say Keane, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Are we going to
I'm gonna
play
go.
three?
What you said?
Are we going to play a front three?
Yes, we are, and we're gonna play Morata, Vlahovic, and Cuadrado. That's what
I
I'm gonna
think
go with.
we're going to play a 4-4-2. Well, it turns into a
God
4-4-2 anyway.
damn it.
So I think it's going to be Vlahovic and Morata up front. Cuadrado right mid, Rabiot left mid.
Oh God! Why do you have to say Rabiot, Lex? You ruined my night.
So yeah, that's where I'm gonna go with. But
God,
no,
never having you as a guest ever again. You mentioning Rabiot on my show.
I hope it's that's the front three that we end up with that you've selected. But
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're gonna want to counter Inter's lineup, the 3-5-2, with something a little bit more forceful in the attacking phase of the game, because I think as hard-headed as Allegri is, he's very hard-headed. But I think even he knows in this match we need to outscore Inter. We're not going to be able to sit back and hold them to like 0 goals or 1 goal. We're going to need to outscore them. Not like Italiano. We're not gonna win like 5-4. But I think we're gonna win this one in a 2-1 win. But
okay, yeah.
it will be very slow paced. But I know that kind of counters what I said, but it's gonna be slow paced. But we're gonna be playing through Vlahovic. We're gonna be playing through Cuadrado. We're gonna be, I think this will be an exciting one. Even though Allegri is in this match, I think he knows that we can't be playing sit back in this one.
No, I agree. I think a 2-1 win. What was I saying?
I wish. Oh
I
my
wish.
gosh.
No, I agree. I think a 2-1 Juve win will probably be what will happen.
Yeah, 100%. And now that I have you on the show, I want to ask you, this is very off topic, but Italiano, in 3 to 5 years, is he going to be at Juve? On the spot, give me a yes or no.
Hopefully sooner than 3 years. Hopefully in 2.
Okay, we'll go 2 to 5. I'll take that.
I want to see him in 2 or 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I don't know. I don't know if he ends up at Juve. It's interesting because you think as the management, having purchased Vlahovic, right? You've got this great asset for your team here. And who arguably has gotten the best out of Vlahovic? Which coach?
Allegri, clearly, right?
Right. So if you're looking at it as a management and you want to grow the team around this player, then why not invest in that coach that gets the best out of that player, right?
100%.
So I mean, get the best mechanic for your Ferrari, right? Like that's
I love it. She posed the F1 reference. We love to see it.
right. So that's why I'm like, it's not that far fetched, but I can also see him like just going to Milan for some reason. Like I can just see him.
They love a bold coach. They love a bold coach at Milan.
He also looks identical almost to Pioli. So I think it would break my heart. But
yeah, it would break mine as well. But yeah, I hope 2 to 3 years.
Hopefully we see him.
I think Juve's lineup is set up for Italiano because they don't have that like brick wall in the back that they used to have. They're more of an attacking-minded team now. You look at the front three.
We're moving to 4-3-3.
Exactly. That's what suits his system best, and a 4-3-3 is what suits our personnel best. I think it's just a match made in heaven. And it's a kind of heaven I want to see because I want to be beating teams 5-2. I want to be beating teams 4-1. Oh, I'm just getting like goosebumps thinking about it. I'm excited.
Well, hopefully. But
yeah, I hope so. But Lex, is there anything else you really want to get off your chest or anything you really want to touch on before we kind of get ready to wrap up?
I want to know your thoughts on the Fiorentina Empoli game coming up this weekend.
Oh, I love it. I love that you're bringing one of those games in here. Okay, so I think Fiorentina rout Empoli big time. I think they beat this team 4-1. I think they destroy Empoli. And I think they remind people why they were in Serie B last year. And I think you see a Nico Gonzalez brace. I think you see Piontek get a goal. And then I think you see, I know Fiontech is so crazy. And then I think you get surprised by a Bonaventura rocket from about 30 yards. I think he's going to hit a banger.
Yeah, wow, that's a great prediction. I'd love to see it.
It's probably a very specific one, but we'll see.
I'm planning on tuning into that one this weekend, so hopefully I
Well,
can.
let me turn the question on you. What do you think for this match, Lex? What do you think for the scoreline?
I think it'll be a good one. I'm hoping for some Fiorentina dominance. Yeah, I agree. I think Empoli's got some interesting players to watch on their team as well, and so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Awesome. Well, on that wonderful note, I wanted Lex give us a little bit of tell us a little bit about what you got going on, what you got cooking for the people with your women's videos. What do you got coming up?
Oh, well, so I am filming one very soon, very shortly, and I'll be releasing it hopefully tomorrow. Although I don't know if this will line up by the time this comes out. But anyways, there should be another Juve Women Weekly out by the time this is published. So I'm really looking forward to that one. It's going to be recapping the Champions League match that they played against Lyon, recapping their 3-1 win over Inter on the weekend, which had phenomenal goals, and then also giving a bit of a preview of the second leg against Lyon. So I'm really looking forward to that. So you'll be seeing that video by the time this is out.
Awesome. That's what we love to hear. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. All the best to everyone. And give us a listen. Give us a like and subscribe on the channel. We'd really, really appreciate it. And everybody have a wonderful rest of their night or day, depending on when they're watching this. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.